Welcome back to the Sky Mobile Transfer Show. That's right, the transfer window has officially opened for the summer. And so we are back to discuss the latest links, deals and rumours taking place across the window. Today, as you've seen from the title, we are discussing all things Man United. How did they rebuild after such a disastrous season? To provide all the answers, we've got two of the biggest Man United fans around. Flex, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I think I'm a relieved man. And when I say relieved, it's because I've just able to just pull the curtain down on what was last season and actually call it past tense. I'm no longer living in that. I've got a lot to work out and I might be back there soon. But as of now, that 24-25 season is past tense. So I'm all good.
Nice Ruben Amorim-esque answer there.
The good times are coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's hope so. Cams, how about yourself? You were at the Champions League final on Saturday. Has that kind of helped you to forget about the Man United season?
A bit of healing, you know what I mean? About healing to my eyes, watching that great PSG team, you know, go and win the Champions League. But I'm feeling like Flex as well in terms of just, let's put that season aside now and let's see what, instead of talking about the manager, instead of talking about some certain players, let's talk about what the board are going to do. Let's see about how we're going to recruit. So sometimes this has felt like Man United fans' favourite time of the season. It's never actually always during the season. But I want to, you know, I'm optimistic that we get some business done.
Nice, and I'm glad to have you back in the studio because the last time you were here, you said that you were considering going back to real estate.
Yeah.
You know, I lost the Europa League final. So
is that what you said?
I'm very glad that
this is what it does to supporting this club. This is it.
It's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Flex, first of all, you know, we do need to speak about it. You know, Matheus Cunha is done. You know, first time in a long time that United have secured such a major signing so early in the summer. Do you think this is the right move for the price? Are you excited by this move?
Yeah, I think I'm very excited by the move and the player. This is a player that for the last couple of seasons has been one of the best in his position in the league. You know, Wolves, don't get me wrong, have had a lot of struggles under Gary O'Neill, and of course Vitor Pereira came in and stabilised the ship. But he's had seasons where he's essentially the target is to keep Wolves in the division. And without his goals and assists and his all-round impact, they don't achieve that. And I think actually, like what Cam talks about is the reality of the situation of Man United in. We, as Man United fans, have to get off of this, we're Man United.
No,
what do you mean a player from Wolves? What do you mean linked to Delap for Ipswich got relegated? What do you mean go to Crystal Palace? No. These teams have better players. They have recruited better than Manchester United. We've seen it, pound for pound, the money spent, the types of players we have versus what they have. So I think absolutely Man United should be looking to buy from within. When you look at, listen, I don't like doing this, but in the context of what I'm saying, I will. When you look at when Sir Alex was here, because when you say that, people go, you're living in the past. Yeah. But what was one of the things that Sir Alex did most well was buy from within the Premier League. And I know that was from a position of strength, but also from a position of weakness to stabilise and get back to being a competitive team. I think having players who can navigate the league, who don't need a bedding in period, who understand what the physicality is all about, I think it's perfect. And I've seen this sort of lazy narrative about Matheus Cunha's attitude and his character because he had the flare up where he got the ban, etc. His whole career in like over 300 appearances, he's got like one legit red card. Like it's not that deep. And Man United need that type of steel, that type of muscle. Someone who wants to come in there and say, what, Rashford's on his way out? Give me that 10. Like, you know, real footballers who can power through the thirds. He's good in transition. He works hard. There's stats about him walking and stuff like this. I don't buy any of that.
With that stat about him walking, if you look at the stats under Simeone, he was one of the highest pressing players in Europe. And then it's just changed that Wolves. I don't know why. Is that because of the system that was
still been effective?
Yeah, are they asking him to exert his energy in attack? We don't know. So those things can vary. Do you know what I mean? It really depends on systems. If you look at the top 5 pressing players in the Premier League, 4 of them play for Ipswich or Spurs. So some of these things are what your club are just asking you to do. You know what I mean? Like it was Omari Hutchinson, Delap, and I forgot the 2 Spurs players, but it was 2 Spurs players and Kulusevski, 2 Spurs players and 2 Ipswich players in the top 5. So it's what your manager's asking.
It's about mentality. He fits straight in. Obviously, he plays in the same system as it is. Yeah. It's an obvious left 10. It's an obvious maybe right 10. But I don't know. I think as United fans, we need to think outside the box as well because, you know, if you're linked to Mbeumo, is there a world where, you know, you see Joshua Zirkzee as this this false nine linking up with the likes of Matheus Cunha or an Mbeumo, or could you see Matheus Cunha playing one forward as a nine to occupy that space? And if Amorim did get sacked, my thing is why recruitment is big. I don't care about this, you need to buy players for 3, 4 free. No, just buy good players. Regardless of who the manager is, Bryan Mbeumo's proved that. He's played as a right winger, left winger, 9, 10, you name it. So if he came, I think, for Matheus Cunha, I think it's a perfect signing. £62.5 million. Is it a bit too high? You could maybe argue that, but the top players in the Premier League from the clubs that say he's worth that, and he just signed a contract, didn't he? In January, I believe it was, to extend. That's what you have to pay.
I think with what you're saying in terms of the Premier League signings as well, is that, like, as you mentioned, the instant impact. And you said Fergie, you don't have to go back to Fergie. Jurgen Klopp, he brought in Premier League players. You look at Van Dijk, you look at Mane, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Robertson. There's these type of players. You look at Arteta. He has shopped in the Premier League like a lot. You look at Jorginho, Zinchenko, Jesus. You look at Ben White. I mean, Declan Rice, Kai Havertz. It goes on and on with Arteta. And how many of Arteta's signings took a while to settle in? Hardly any. Maybe Kai Havertz, maybe was playing him in the wrong position. As soon as he stepped into the 9, he improved. They get you going. They speed up your rebuild, in my opinion. So the only problem is what they call, obviously, the Premier League tax, and maybe you pay 15 million more than you would if you got him from another league or something like that. But is that 15 million difference the price you want to pay for instant impact? I think so, So listen, in my spare time when I was on the plane, I wrote a whole list of players from the Premier League that are now, in my opinion, Man United's level. And what you're saying, you can't sit there and say, oh, we're above this anymore. We're not.
We're literally below it.
That is something that really needs to kick in. We're not.
Okay, so that's interesting, Cams. Like, who is on that list? I'm intrigued to find out.
Can I get my phone out?
Go for it.
Let me tell you,
Yeah, he's going to have some interesting
Listen, you guys are going to laugh at some of these names.
Whether they're attainable or not, but
I
just
said
the level.
they are Man United's level now, Okay.
I think it's good to get a bit of a shopping list here.
Yes. Muñoz.
Yep.
Branthwaite. Mateta. Watkins. Semenyo. Kudus. Bowen. Elliot Anderson. Chris Wood. Sander Berge. Wharton, I put star because that'll be very difficult.
Sander Berge.
I mean, there's a few in there that feel difficult already.
A lot will be difficult.
Like Semenyo
Pickford.
even.
People will laugh at Pickford. I put Mbeumo, Wissart, Nathan Collins, Ait Nori, Yao Gomez, Joe Bellingham, and El Khanousi.
What are you saying for
More
Aaron
added
Ramsdale?
as I go along.
What are you saying for Aaron Ramsdale? Would you chuck him in?
No.
If it means you can change on Onana?
No. Aaron Ramsdale, that relegation thing, that might be the final.
What do you
nail
mean,
in our
Robertson,
coffin.
man? It's fine, bro.
Nah, but how many relegations has Ramsdale got? Like 4?
Yeah, it's about 3.
Yo, we finished 15th, let's...
You don't want to,
let's chill there, But more will be added as Cams goes along,
And a few will come off that list as well, I imagine, as they go to different clubs.
Ait Nori's already gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get on to more outgoings then. We've spoken quite a lot about, potential players coming in. We can get onto a few more targets in due course. But I mean, in order to raise more money, whether or not Bruno leaves the club, Garnacho looks more and more likely to leave. Marcus Rashford looking for a new club. Antony, Sancho, potentially Hojlund as well. I mean, Cams, who would you be most sad to see? And I guess, of those players, what are the kind of prices that you think United need to be going for with them?
I think firstly, there's no excuse for Man United not to recoup money this summer. You just look at those names that you mentioned. Did you say Antony as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you look at how many players that we can sell and should sell. We really need to stop getting bullied into this loan with option to buy thing. That is the one that's like really getting on my nerves at the moment. Loan with option to buy. No, please give me some money now. So that's one thing. But that's a good question. I
know which players is the one.
Do you know what? Yeah, it's tough because look, emotionally, there's still some emotional, Rashford gave us some good times, man. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to Aston Villa, he did all right. And when I'm seeing him linked to Barcelona, I'm here to tell you guys right now, if Marcus Rashford goes to Barcelona under the Hansi Flick system,
he's going to thrive.
He's going to explode. He is going to be class. You know what I mean? So, and then we're going to be here in revisionism and being like, should we have? So That's
let
one
it go,
thing.
man.
I agree.
Let it be.
But I'll be honest, away from Marcus Rashford, it's actually because he's already gone on loan and stuff. So I already kind of count him as a gone player. It's Garnacho. It's Garnacho, man. And look, I'm not gonna sit here and say Garnacho is world level. I think he's gonna be a world class player or anything. But he is somebody that still does puts down some numbers for the club. You know, he does still contribute, and anything that has been good under Ruben Amorim has come via Bruno or Garnacho. And sometimes our system is just booting the ball to Garnacho. So when I'm hearing people say, you know, oh, he can go, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm like, you sure? Because a lot of our football has been centered towards what he's doing. You know, when you're looking at players that can run in behind, it's him. I thought he should have started the final against Spurs. I've looked at the games that we played against Spurs previously. He was missing chances, but who was giving them a threat? It was Garnacho. So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm kind of torn with him because, again, I don't think he's this amazing player, but can he be
still very young,
somebody
though.
that can contribute in the squad? I do see that for where Manchester United are now. You know, a lot of people are talking about where Man United will be or can be. Where are we right now? It's Garnacho level players that we're going to need to contribute towards anything. And in, you know, there's a lot of talk about his attitude and stuff like that. And I'm not really buying into that. You know what I mean? I'm not really buying into that. The whole attitude and the social media. For me, he's...
So he doesn't appeal. I do think, like, with Garnacho, you have to look at it from both sides. The same way with the Bruno situation, it's, again, indicative of the situation that Man United are in, where, again, we have to now look to PSR. Why is Garnacho one of the top contenders to leave? Yeah, okay, social media posts, liking things he probably shouldn't have liked. Ruben Amorim fell out of him, Manchester derby, blah, 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 blah. But the real reason is he represents 100% profit, which can be amortized probably 2 to 3 times over to really go and spend. That's the real reason. And if I'm honest, you have to be careful with it because Garnacho, for his age, forget how rubbish Man United are, for his age, it's only Doué and Yamal as under 21s who have more goals of involvements than him. Do you know how insane that is in this awful team? Now, Garnacho, I think, is a victim as a player who's had to play way too many minutes with Man United on his back. When it was Sancho, Rashford and Antony and these guys that were the senior wingers, Garnacho had to come in. And I remember last season...
Got rid of Antony and
got rid of them.
Sancho.
And I remember last season, this kid, like, that last season was like his season where he's going to become a starter from the season before when he was just off the bench, right? And I remember going, right, Eric Ten Hag tried to put Rashford out on the right for a few games. And he went, oh my God, he can't do it. Right, young kid Alejandro, who's only just trying to get to grips with it. The senior pro in Rashford can't play out there. Can you go out there?
Yeah.
And he played like 33 games on the bounce.
In a row, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So we forget these things. So yes, when it does get to the final and he's played 20 minutes for Mason Mount, who's been injured for 2 years, he's going to have a gripe about it. Does he express it in the right way? Probably not.
He's still a kid, man.
He's still a kid. But at the same time, if I'm saying that Bruno can get it because of what we need, and you're telling me that you're going to take out Garnacho and you're putting in Cunha in the left 10, that is an instant upgrade. And also the money that, again, if we use it right, we shouldn't be wedded to like, but what if Garnacho does? Garnacho will go to Napoli, for argument's sake. He'd go to Atletico Madrid, tear up. He would. And us as United fans will probably be left going, oh my God. But I just think the bigger picture is it hasn't quite worked with the manager. Then it did, then it didn't. But the money that you can get for him.
I think, look, any player, there's no one that you should really at Man United. Maybe there's 2 or 3
like
that,
Euro and
like
Ahmad,
Kobe
maybe
and
like
stuff
Kobe,
that you'll have a bit.
Even Kobe's, bro.
Let's not start.
Ask him. Ask him. Does he think Kobe could be on the list?
Let's not start.
Please ask him.
But I think there is a situation. I think there is a situation where like anybody can go, and I'm not going. By the way, I'm not trying to say if Garnacho leaves, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry at all. But I do think, like as Flex said, we have been overexposed to Garnacho. You know what I mean? We've been definitely overexposed to him in terms of how much he's played and how much we rely on him and stuff like that, which other young players who are probably of his ability level are nowhere near that level. Because you're talking about Lamine Yamal and Doué.
That's a stratospheric.
They are 2 sensations.
Exactly.
So it's a lot different, you know, but... Yeah, I think out of those names that you mentioned, Antony, Sancho and stuff, it'll be Garnacho that's rumoured to leave. that I'll be most like.
I think he'll leave. I think Garnacho will leave. He's got to go.
And I guess, like you say, Napoli, were very interested in January. They're still looking for a left winger. Even Chelsea are looking for a left winger as well.
Chelsea as well.
I mean, I guess that's the hope for United is that that if more than one club come in for him, maybe you can get a bidding war going there. Sorry, Cams.
Why do good teams want these players?
Exactly.
Everybody says our team isn't good though. This is what I'm saying though. Like
Man United
Napoli are the Serie A champions. They're about to go into the Champions League. McTominay went there. He won the league. Rashford is linked with Barcelona. And these are all players that we say are not good enough.
But this is why within the fan base we need to be careful. I've seen United fans say,
I think we're a bit delusional.
100%. I've seen United fans say, Garnacho, I'll drive him down the M6. I'll drive him to Celta Vigo. That's his level. He'll be at Elche and nothing will happen. Do you know what I mean?
He's going to a top team.
Yeah, and we need to be really careful with the last thing. Sorry, is the fee, right? I've seen United fans say, yeah, just 40 million. No. Man United need to get creative and start charging premium for these players. Garnacho, if you look at young players around the globe what they're doing versus what they're not doing, I need 50, 60 million pounds for him.
It doesn't help when Man United come out and speak so much about how
they don't want to play
bad we
exactly.
are. And teams will look at that and be like, oh yeah, brilliant. You look at someone like trying to buy a player from Napoli, you're having to pay over the odds because that owner, he'll keep them all in prison if he has to, you know what I mean? But us, it just seems like they'll find a way to wheel and deal us, you know?
Yeah, difficult situation for sure. It'll be interesting to see, where United get with trying to sell players. United classically not the best at selling, players for a good price. But I think United fans are pretty used to it by now, seeing players going and thriving elsewhere. Let's get on to the other big position that's been talked about recently, striker. Of course, we've seen Liam Delap confirmed at this point at Chelsea, having his medical, I think, as we're recording this. Big one to miss out on for United, given the financial constraints. Probably the cheapest Premier League proven striker out there. Jonathan David, another cheap and proven striker who looks like he's on his way probably to Napoli or elsewhere in Italy. Another, Sesko, strongly linked with Arsenal. Ekitike linked with Liverpool. I mean, where are you guys at with the striker position? Because surely this is another priority this summer.
I'm very worried. I'm very worried. The Liam Delap opportunity was a good market opportunity to get somebody young, up and coming for a very good price. It came with different pressures though, because we've put a 22-year-old in and asked him to lead our line, and look what happened to Rasmus Hojlund. I know Delap has done well at Premier League level, but we still have to be careful with that. I've always said, even before the links to Delap, I want us to get someone experienced. I want us to stop messing about, stop saying maybe we can nurture to this and nurture to that. I need someone who can look after himself, occupy defenders, and just be a bully up there and link play. And I think the problem that Man United got now is, which kind of leads into Bruno, which is why we need money, is in order to go big for a striker, something drastic needs to happen because we can't afford it. We can't. How are you going to go and get Victor Gyökeres now? How are you going to go and get Benjamin Sesko if he doesn't go to Arsenal or whoever's left? Because Chelsea took the lap that he's available. How are you going to get Victor Osimhen on 250k a week wages, which Man United are trying to come away from? The answer is, the only way you can do it is there's a big sale like Bruno, his wages come off the books, there's a big 100 million, and you go, right, I tell you what, Gyökeres didn't go to Arsenal, they opted for Sesko. And you use that Amorim relationship. You lure Amorim into that room, you get him to ring Gyökeres, get him to go out to his house and say, listen, I know we're rubbish, but when I took you from Coventry to Sporting, you owe me for this. Come on, you owe me for this. But other than that, I can't see. Listen, the obvious links aren't quite there because of the money. I don't know who we're... Mateta could be like, I'm in Europa League next year. I've done something big, but if you put the right money down for Mateta, let's be honest, he's probably going to go, I'm 27, this is Man United. Do you know what I mean? That you could probably stretch it to that and use the badge and the allure. But there's not many players you can do that with. So I'm worried, man. But it has to be. We must have a striker. We must. We must.
I think with the Delap one, I think, we're going to speak about him at Chelsea, but I think at United, I think it was that was a, what they say, market opportunity. We saw how much it could be, and we said, do you know what? Let's see if we can just invest in that and see what he does in the future. But again, it's more about the future. I'm a big fan of Delap, but with what Man United are going through at the moment, the pressures, what he's going to be required to do, what he's going to be asked to do. He scored 12 in the league this season. you know, you speak to Man United fans and they say we need a 20 league goal striker. I'm like, you know what I mean? You asking for that is going to be a lot. We haven't had a 20 goal season striker since Robin van Persie, by the way. Since Robin van Persie. Yeah. Since Robin van Persie. Cristiano hit 18.
Did Lukaku? No, just below.
Lukaku hit 16. Ronaldo hit 18. Zlatan hit, I think, 17. So we haven't had a 20 goal. And then you'll be asking Liam Delap to do that. It's a big ask. And I think, you know, the striker situation with United, I actually think it's going to be a random name. I think it's something that we're not thinking about at the moment. And Mateta could be included in that in a way. But that's why I put Ollie Watkins on the list. Is he somebody? Because I saw they were going through a little something at Aston Villa. But again, is it within? Is it a situation that we look at an Mbeumo, as you said, or a Cunha and a Xerxes, and we find a way of
something we haven't really thought about, but
one as a 9? And
exactly.
Who knows what we're going to do? But I do think these names that we're seeing, Gyökeres, don't see it. You know, Gyökeres will have to come in as last resort. I mean, for him, by the way, not for us. Last resort for him.
First for us.
Yeah, last resort for him. Sesko, I mean, I'll be super surprised if he chose Man United over Arsenal or Liverpool in this current moment. Ekitike, we're not involved for him. Obviously, Delap's gone.
Osimhen
probably wants to go to Saudi. You know, it doesn't seem a thing. I think he will end up probably going to Al-Hilal or something. So I think it's going to be a name that we're probably not thinking about, or the solution's going to have to come within, because do Man United panic now and say, no, we need to get a striker? Or do they say, do you know what, we'll work with what we got. We're going to sign some attacking midfielders. We're going to sign some flying fullbacks, and we'll see what happens. Then we'll see when the market opens up for another striker. Or do we just panic and buy one now? And who knows, that could be another Hojlund situation in a year. You know, it's questionable.
Yeah, it's there's so many question marks, you know, over Man United this summer, more so than usual, I think, just because of the financial situation. And yeah, you're right to have those reservations about a striker. You do wonder maybe, you know, Matheus Cunha, the way that you've seen him work with Strand Larsen this season at Wolves, is, you know, will there be a relationship there?
He's one. Strand Larsen, I'll have him.
Yeah.
Add him to my list.
Add him, put him on the cams list, man. Strand Larsen, you forgot about him.
But yeah, let us know in the comments below. You know, what do you make of the Bruno Fernandes situation? Who would you bring in to replace him if there is a replacement out there? Who do you think United should go for at centre forward? Let's move on now to our Sky Mobile Switch of the Week, where we all bring our favourite completed or potential deal from the last 7 days. And yeah, just say why we love it. I'll start with you, Flex. Who have you gone for?
I've gone over to Man United's biggest rivals, Liverpool. Ooh. Because, guys, they need to be stopped. It's scary what's going on. They've got the war kitty there. They didn't spend any money last year. FSG have come under quite a lot of criticism at times for not investing too much. Well, if they pull this deal off for Florian Wirtz of Bayern Leverkusen, I think I say we're all in trouble. I say that as a neutral, because Man United are so far away, right? Florian Wirtz, I think this deal is very exciting. Of course, 22 years of age, of course, there's a lot for him to do away from the Bundesliga. It's going to come with a lot of pressure. He may need time to adapt. All of these things that we know. But if he turns up and is the Florian Wirtz that we have been seeing and we know is there, I think it's a massive problem for the rest of the league in that Liverpool team. Arne Slot has also proved in the year he's been here that he can improve players, young players, players with a point to prove. And I'm just thinking about him, about where he would fit in. I've seen some Liverpool fans talk about, you know, maybe the false 9 option. The most obvious would be that 10 position. And you just look at what they already have with the legs of Szoboszlai, the mobility and the covering of Gravenberch. McAllister's multifunctional. Scary hours. They've already secured Frimpong as well from the same club. They're trying to get Kirkhead. Yeah. They are on a mission. Liverpool are, I think, and rightly so, basically saying, we need to lock down the next 2 to 3 years and try and dominate this Prem. City are coming, we'll speak about that. But for me, Florian Wirtz, really impressive signing. There's some reports that they've been sort of rebuffed for the bid of in excess of £109 million, 130 million euros. But I don't know, how high are Liverpool willing to go? Because this is something that's uncharacteristic from Liverpool, which shows me that they're serious. Like Cam's mentioned before we start filming, they don't tend to do this. And the fact that they're showing this level of intent for him, and he's chosen them as well. All the reports saying he doesn't want to go anywhere else. I think this deal gets done, but Liverpool spending this much money on Florian Wirtz, I think I'm going to say now, if Florian Wirtz turns up to be the Florian Wirtz that he can be, he could be one of the top 5 attacking players in the league.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's an understatement. Looks like, the best player at his age in world football at this point, and yeah, it almost feels a little bit like 2018, doesn't it? When Liverpool signed Van Dijk, they signed Alisson, they signed Fabinho. These players who then within a year delivered them the Champions League, within 2 years delivered them, the Premier League with a huge points tally, and defined a really dominant era for them. It does feel like they're taking advantage of a bit of a lull in terms of the quality at the top of the league. Cams, who have who's caught your eye this week?
I've gone with Liam Delap to Chelsea. I know City have a few, but they're not completed yet. It doesn't feel like it's complete. It's going to happen, but it's not completed. So I've gone with Liam Delap to Chelsea, and it's funny because what I was saying about him at Manchester United, I think when you look at it at Chelsea, it's weird. It's just a completely different situation. Chelsea have shown they're prepared to build with these young players, and also they get results while doing it. That's the difference. You've seen some of these Chelsea young players that maybe in the first season they struggled when they had like 30 man in one changing room and stuff. But now when Maresca came in, they've trimmed down the squad a little bit, and it looks like a team that have this kind of mentality where they know we're the young guns here, but we're going to show the league what we are. And I look at Liam Delap as somebody that he has that edge to him. He has that nasty side. And you look at this Chelsea team, Caicedo provides it. Enzo's a little bit mouthy as well. But I think they need a bit more of that steel in the team. And despite Delap being young, he brings that. I remember playing when he played against Man United, he rattled us. He was throwing people off the side of the pitch and stuff. I was like, he's what I call a bruiser, And Chelsea, if you look at historically, they're bruiser type strikers. Didier Drogba, Diego Costa, go even way back before the Roman era, and somebody like Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, guys that know how to use their body, guys who are happy for a long ball to come in and they battle for it and get shots off, venomous shots off as well. I think Liam Delap fits that mold. Chelsea have tried to go down a different mold a couple times. Maratas, Jackson, and maybe it hasn't necessarily worked out to the level that they want. Lukaku, again, somebody that was a bruiser, as I say. Yeah. It was working until he decided randomly.
Yeah, he's just, I'm not on this anymore.
Throw an interview and I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Who knows what happened in that situation? But when I think about Delap, he does feel like a Chelsea striker. And I think Chelsea need a little bit of that because Jackson, the intricate play and stuff, he's there. But it does always feel like, can Chelsea send a cross in? Nah, nobody's gonna be there. Can Chelsea just get somebody that can get the ball off and get a snapshot? Nah, it doesn't really feel like that. And I think with Liam Delap, it matches what Chelsea need, and it matches historically what I think of as a Chelsea 9, because they have been waiting for somebody to come in. Again, Aubameyang, it just didn't match. It just this feels like one. And I think with that young squad and with Maresca, who by the way worked with him in the EDS with Man City. He knows Joe Shields. Joe Shields works at the club. He was there at Manchester City as well. So he's got a bit of a Man City connection there. Manager that's already managed him. I think it's a good fit.
Palmer,
I think
not time with him as well.
Palmer, they had a connection in the academy as well. So, hey, he's going into a squad that now are ready to, I think, make that little bit of ascendancy. They won the cup. They're in the Champions League now. And we still got to remember, Chelsea are never down for too long. They never are. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it certainly feels in theory like a really natural fit there, doesn't it? I'm going to go down a bit further down the league for my pick. Yeah. We're actually going for an outgoing from Liverpool. Kelleher to Brentford, I think is a really smart move, actually, for all parties, really. Kelleher, of course, next season, not a hope in hell, I think, of starting in that Liverpool side with Mamadashvili coming in permanently to rival Alisson. But he's really given a good account of himself at Liverpool, I think. 20 Premier League starts across the last 2 seasons, stepped in very admirably for Alisson this season when he was injured. Premier League winners medal around his neck now. His penalty, exploits are there for all to see. 5 he's faced at Liverpool. He saved 3 of them. 6 penalty saves in shootouts as well in the EFL Cup. I didn't realise he'd been that prolific there as well. But I think it's more just about the fee and everything. Liverpool are getting a really good fee for a player who has 1 year left on his contract and was not going to be starting any games next season. Meanwhile, for Brentford, they've got for 12.5 to 18 million pounds with add-ons. They've got a player who I think is going to be an upgrade on Mark Flecken, who's going to Bayer Leverkusen and is 5 years younger than him, joining a really good Brentford setup. Of course, we don't know where Mbeumo is going to be come the start of the season.
Where Thomas Frank's
we don't know where Thomas Frank's going to be either. So
maybe Ange to Brentford.
Yeah, I mean, let's stop there. But it could be scary times at Brentford for sure. But nevertheless, a pretty safe pair of hands between the sticks. Let's see how he does, having to start every single game, behind a defence which come under a lot more pressure than Liverpool do. But yeah, positive moves for Brentford there. But that's all we have time for today on the Sky Mobile Transfer Show. Remember that with all the transfers taking place between clubs this summer, it's never been easier to transfer your network to Sky Mobile. All you need to do is text PAC, that's PAC, to 65075. That's 65075, and Sky Mobile will do the rest. Thanks, Flex, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks, Cam.
The debut.
And we'll see you next time.